Hi, I'm the Moorlander and this is Moorlander EDC. Now, not really part 2 of 2, but it kind of is for me because a few weeks back, I say probably about a month or two now ago, Fenix got in touch and asked if I'd like to make some content, a couple of their flashlights, a few of their torches, and I jumped at the chance. So I'm new to Fenix. And I'm always humbled whenever somebody contacts me and asks if I'd like to make some content. So the first one I made a few weeks back, I'll leave a link whichever side it's on. I always forget which side it's on. But what we are here today to look at is the Fenix TK16. I had to turn it around then just for a second. I knew it was a TK16, but you know, it's always good to check when you're old and have a bad memory. Anyway, so we are here today to have a look at this. Now, I've had this now, I think it is probably about 6 or 7 weeks now testing both lights. So this has got a bit of a legendary status. I know a lot of other YouTubers out there certainly love this light. So something for me that I really wanted to kind of test that out, but also not look at their content because I certainly don't want to be swayed by other people's opinions. But yeah, really surprised me, and I think it's one thing that I've found which is kind of echoed with that previous piece of content that I did on the Fenix light, is just the fact the quality of the lights that they produce, but also the quality of the light, which is strange because at the end of the day it's an LED that emits light, but whether it's the reflectors, whether it's the glass that's in there, or just the quality of the LED, the clarity that you get from the light is absolutely amazing. With you getting 3,100 lumens from this, the amount of light, the sheer horsepower that this has. Yeah, so probably waffled on a little bit too much there. What I'll do, as always, I'll turn the camera around so that we can take a closer look whilst I'm doing that. If at any point you do enjoy this content, please feel free to like, subscribe and share. That would be amazing. If you do decide to do that at any point during this content, I just want to say thank you at this point. It certainly means a lot to me, and yes, I definitely appreciate it. Okay, right, camera turn around, let's have a look at the TK16. Now the wind has just picked up while I was turning the camera around, so I do apologise if you can hear the wind in the background, but I'm just going to put the light down for a second whilst we have a quick look at the box. Very nice packaging. Everything about Fenix just screams out high quality. You've got your headline figures on here, 3,100 lumens, up to 380 meters in range. On the back, as I like to do, or at least I've certainly started to do, I don't know if you want to pause this, but here are all of the information as far as lumen levels. We've got the hours, we've got the distances, and there's some candela information in there as well, and then you've got the strobe there on the end. Now what you get in the box, now it says fairly, do you know what? They are hard to get into, I will give you that, if you're the type of person that likes to look after the boxes. So you've got some warranty information, you get a really nice, now I will say this again, you know, I'm probably going to say this a lot, but as far as all of the stuff that you get, it really is very, very high end. You get a USB Type-C, which is great to see. You also get some lanyards and some additional O-rings. Right, okay, let's just put those to one side for the moment, and a nice patch, which is kind of cool. Okay, so what we'll try and do is we'll try and do this as quickly as possible, mainly because I know certainly I do waffle, and really we just want to see this in action outside in the dark, don't we? So as we usually do, we will go through some measurements, some materials, and then we'll have a look at the features of the light itself. So as far as the light is concerned, it comes in at 144 millimeters. At its thinnest part, really, which is the shaft here, it does widen out towards the tail ever so slightly, but at its thinnest part here, it comes in at 25.4 millimeters, and at its widest is definitely towards the light unit here at the top, and it comes in at 34 millimeters. As far as the LED on the inside, let me try and see if I can get this in a good light. Yep, okay, so this is one of the luminous SST70 LEDs, which comes with a lifetime of up to 50,000 hours, which is quite a long time. I think that's fair to say. A lot of the features on here, as far as materials are concerned, let's just make sure I'm always in focus. The materials, so this is made from high-grade aluminium. You tend to find with a lot of these flashlights, a lot of newer tools to help to drive down the weight. They're using this high-grade aluminium. So this is the, I think it's always the same, isn't it? It's the, what is it? It's the A6061 T6 aluminium. So you generally tend to find a lot of these are made from that, and it certainly does help with the weight reduction. On the front there is a stainless steel striker bezel. This is classed as a tactical light, so it can be used if you needed to break windows with this. There are 1, 2, 3 small little tungsten carbide inserts into that, so that if you did need to strike this against some glass, then you'll be able to do that, to be able to get into a vehicle if you're accident and emergency. I believe the update, so they have done an update to this where they've removed those. So I guess you can fall into one of two camps, whether you prefer those to have those on there. Is that the TK22? I can't remember now. I think it is the TK22, but anyway, on this version you've got, as I say, you've got that stainless steel strike bezel here at the front, and then you have some small tungsten carbide inserts into that. The glass on this is toughened ultra clear glass. You certainly can tell with this, as I mentioned at the beginning, you know, I have found, and it's one of the things that I know a lot of people have said to me, but the quality of the materials in these Fenix lights really does show. And again, it's another one of those when you get it in your hand and you go, yeah, I get that. The clarity of the glass on this, it's a hard one. Well, I suppose it's not a hard one to put into words, but when you compare it to other lights, you can certainly tell the difference, and I think that reflects in the quality of the light that comes out of this. But there is also an anti-reflective coating in there as well, just in case, well, for reflections, I guess. Now, the actual function of it, so you have, it actually comes apart into 3 units. So there is the head unit, there is the tail unit, and then there is also there is a deep pocket clip. Now I have left this on here. I generally don't find that I use these pocket clips as much. I don't really know why, but I generally tend to take them off. But I thought I'd leave it on there whilst I had that, just to show you. But yeah, it's reasonably simple to take off. The head unit, just to make... Okay, so the head unit, the one thing that I did want to talk about with this, which will make sense, especially in a second, I'm just going to put those down. So when you look into here, hopefully you'll be able to see, so a lot of the head units that you find with certain tactical lights is they'll have the what do you call it, the electrode parts, there you go, that sounded professional, didn't it, in there, but then you'll also have a spring here on the end. Because this is meant to be used as a tactical flashlight, it can be attached to a rifle. When the rifle is kicking, then you'll have the inertia of the battery on the inside, so this has springs on both ends, whether it's the head unit or the tail cap, to make sure that that battery is held in place. I'm just going to screw this on mainly because I just want to make sure that I have it on the right end. Now when this screws in, it's something that I always do with flashlights. I don't even know why I do it, but I just do. But when you're screwing it in, I certainly find, especially when it comes to the quality of the machinings, so when this is in there, so that's probably, I think that's about half a turn, and already there's little to no movement. A full turn and there's just no movement. The actual function of screwing that in is buttery smooth, so I can certainly tell that the tolerances within inside the screw on the head unit are are excellent. Now when the battery pops out, one thing that we've not been able to see on here yet is a USB charging port on the outside. That is because the battery that is supplied with this has its own charging port on the battery itself. Now what that means in a tactical environment, especially if you're in the police or if you're in the armed forces, you certainly don't want to be having to carry around a light. And I know I'm preaching to the converted here at the moment, but you certainly don't want to be carrying around a light that you need to plug into something to charge. So generally you'll find that people will have two of these, they'll have 2 or 3 of these, so that whilst one is being used, they can charge the battery itself. You don't actually have to have this battery attached to anything, or it doesn't need to be internal within the light for you to charge it. And this will charge against anything, sorry my little notes just started to move around there, and this will charge against anything that is USB type C, whether it's charging in your car, whether it's an external battery unit, or whether you're just using your mobile phone. Sorry, it really is quite windy and all my stuff's blowing around. Or whether you're just using a mobile phone charger, everything, as long as it's USB type C, it will plug into this. The battery capacity, it is a 21700 battery, comes in at 500 milliamp hours, and yeah, you know, it just fits in. There's absolutely no rattle when it's in there, which you'd expect. Again, as far as, you know, tolerances on the inside, it fits in there perfect, but also adds just a little bit. I know batteries don't necessarily swell nowadays, but the aluminium might possibly contract if you're in an environment that's very cold, so it's important to have just that slight kind of wiggle room on the inside. So on the front here it says hot, just to make sure. This does get hot. There is some internal management as far as the heat is concerned, so it will actively track the heat to make sure that it's not too much, and it will intelligently adjust the levels to make sure that, you know, it doesn't burn itself out. Coming to the tail, again, you know, I'm just rotating this mainly to show you the fact that there are no external charging ports on here. They're all on the inside. We get to the tail, and then we have a double tail button setup. The 2 buttons, hopefully, that you can see on here, there is the main button, which is your on and off, and then there is a secondary button here. Now this secondary button has 2 functions. When the light is turned off and you click on it, it will give you instant access to strobe. Again, in a tactical environment, it's super useful to be able to get that. Or even if you're just concerned about walking around at night, having a light like this that you can put straight into strobe mode to give you that second to either run away, you know, it's there for you. Sorry about that. It sounds like the magpie's out with us again today. Now, when it is turned on with the I suppose the primary switch, the secondary switch then allows you to switch between the different light modes. So hopefully you can see here at the moment we're on eco, then we've got low, medium, high, and then we've got the turbo, which is the full 1000 lumens at the top. When you are on and you are on this main mode, rather than flicking through the different light options here with the secondary button, there is almost a dual function for this. So whilst it's on, if you hold it down rather than clicking it, that's really warm, as long as it's longer than just about half a second, it will then switch into your strobe mode. Then if you press it again, it will then go back into whichever light mode that it was in beforehand. There is a memory on this as well, so when you turn it off, it will remember which mode that you were in, so that when you turn it back on again, you're back in the same mode. Now I certainly find with lights like this that I tend to keep them either on eco or low, mainly because I use this for EDC. I certainly don't need to be able to find people out at sea late at night, or, you know, naughty people hiding in bushes or running away from me. Generally I set the dogs out if anybody runs away from me anyway, but you know, that's another story. So being able to get it so that it's onto eco or low certainly is always an advantage. Now it does go. Did I say that? So yeah. So we go through the modes. So it will always, depending on, it will always go up, and then it will bump back down. So it's always eco, low, medium, high, turbo, and then it will bump back down. Now the important part is, let's see how this works in the dark. Just come down to the end, just so that you can see. So starts on eco, and then we work our way up through the lumens on this one. You can see, hopefully you can see the fence post, you can see the light on the trees over there. That tree is about probably, I'm just trying to work this out, it's about 10 meters away. But on the eco mode, what we're getting is 30 lumens out of this. Now from a full battery, you should get roughly 43 hours and 20 minutes from this. And it should have a throw up to about 40 meters. Now, I don't think the camera really does it any favors out here at night. You can see whatever's in front of you, and I think 30 lumens, certainly on this low eco mode, does you know, it's a great kind of lumen mode, or low or eco mode to have on here. Then with the tail switch, just one bump on the tail switch, then bumps it up into low mode. So now if I'm just going to take a step back over here, but looking across there, you can see that tree that we looked at before, about 10 meters away, is a lot more visible. It's a shame really that you can't really pick up just how good the light is that comes out of this. I know I've said before about I've found with these that the quality of the light, but even on this low mode, so at low mode we are looking at 150 lumens. You'll get roughly 19 hours of light from a full charge. I think I said 40 meters before for the throw. Did I say 40 meters? The throw on this is about 80 meters. Now just over there is a path that I go running down most mornings. That's probably about 20 or 30 meters away, and I can see that fine. Hopefully you can still see that. I can see the Moorlander mobile here, and then if we look down the road, you can start to see, so there's some trees here which are about 10 meters away, and then just there, if you can see those, there's another set of trees which are probably about 20 meters away. But yeah, maybe you'll be able to get those 80 meters, but at the moment I can quite easily see, let's get this back in focus, I can quite easily see about 20 meters down there. Now I can bump this up again, so as you know, as I'm going through the modes with the additional tail switch here. So this now puts it up into medium mode. Now medium mode is 350 lumens, and on a full charge you'll get roughly 8 hours and 20 minutes, which I guess is 8.333 recurring. Now the path over there that I mentioned before, you know, that I go for runs down, it's certainly a lot easier to be able to see that, and you can also see there's a little sign there to the side of the path. The tree on the opposite side of the road is a lot more clearer, a lot easier to see. I mean, we've bumped up to 350 lumens, so we're certainly not going to have any difficulties there. Those trees, and then the trees that it was a bit of a struggle to see before, you can start to see those, and now you can start to see, if I come down into the middle of the road, you can start to see that there's some additional trees that are now easier to see. Whether or not you can see them, if it's keeping this in focus, let's get back in focus. But yes, there are some additional trees down there. Now the throw on this in medium mode, it says about up to 120 meters. I think with there being more around, maybe we'll go into the trees in a minute. We'll try and see if we can get some more trees around so that we can see some more things. The next bump up, this is onto the high mode, and hopefully now that second row of trees, so these were the first ones that we saw, that's the second one, and now hopefully, let's get back in focus, come on silly thing, you can see those additional trees that I was talking about down there. So this high mode, just going through the greenery here, back to the tree that we looked at the first time. So high mode on this is 1000 lumens, and from a full charge of battery, you get about 2 hours and 50 minutes, let's call it 3 hours of light from this. The high mode on this with 1000 lumens, I think this is a good workable amount of light. The candela that comes from this is 12,000 candela, so it's allowing a lot of light to be forced into an area. Now, just so that we can see, hopefully if I bring this around, you'll be able to see that you can see the left hand side, you can see the right hand side, so it does have a reasonably large spill. And then the hot point in the middle, it's a reasonable hot point. It's not particularly defined, but you can still allow that hot point to kind of get on something if it is that you're trying to search for something in the dark. Now the last extra bump up, again with the tail switch, this then takes it up to the 3100 lumens, and this is turbo mode. The beauty of this really is just how much light this is kicking out at this moment in time. 3100 lumens. The reflector in here, the just the glass on the front. I hope that the camera does this justice, really, because the difference in light that you get from maybe some of the cheaper lights, it really is chalk and cheese. The clarity in the leaves, again, it's a strange thing, because at the end of the day we are just talking about light, but the quality and the definition of the light in this that this produces is just so much more crystal clear. But again, you know, there's those trees. If I come back into the middle of the road, we can see even further down there, almost to where the turn is. Now the turn is roughly about 150 meters down there. Fenix say that you can get 380 meters out of this. I think you could probably get close to that. Now from a full charge, you can get 2 hours and 40 minutes. Now you're probably thinking, well, that doesn't make sense really, because on 1000 lumens, you'll get 2 hours and 50 minutes, but there is a kick down on this, and I'll just leave the details down here as far as how the kick down works. But there's also some internal management as far as heat management and some other sources as well. Now if you're using it on I mean, actually that's got quite hot already, but if you're on any of the medium, high or turbo modes, if you're getting to the point where you're starting to run out of battery, what it will do is it will automatically bump it down onto the lowest mode, onto eco mode, sorry, so that you can still use your light and still be able to get some light if you're in an emergency and you need to be able to get to somewhere. Now, there's definitely no doubting that the TK16 it's just a beast. I think it's definitely, I think as far as lights are concerned, you've got your I was going to say your showers and your growers, but that has nothing to do with lights, but maybe it is. You've got those lights out there that go, yeah, you know, we can do 15,000 lumens, and they are amazing 15,000 lumen flashlights for 30 seconds, and then the rest of the time, you know, they're actually really good quality 400 lumen flashlights. I think the difference with this one is its bark matches its bite, in the respect that 3100 lumens, you get enough time that you can actually work with that if you're using this tactically, or even if you're using this, you work in search and rescue and you're trying to find people, being able to have as much time to be able to use that light. But even then, if you did want to bump it down from turbo to high as well, you've still got a large amount of manageable time with that. So it backs itself up on both of those levels. I know certainly, and hey, when you finish this, definitely go and check out John Gadget's channel. So John reviewed this last year. I think he even said that this was his top tactical light of 2021. And he didn't say it on this one, mainly because, like I say, I've tried not to watch some content, because I want to keep this opinion by myself. But yeah, I made a very good point about another flashlight that he looked at. I think it was a Nightcore one, where he said, you know, it's an average 10,000 lumen light, but if you're after a decent 400 lumen light, this is the one for you. I think I can see why people do like this light, because you've got a lot more manageable time in the times that you are wanting to use it at those higher settings. So rather than it being just a great 1000, 2000 lumen flashlight, it genuinely is a brilliant 3100 lumen flashlight. Probably over-gilded the lily way too much there, but hopefully that'll make sense. Certainly if you're in the market for just that Fenix quality. I said this at the beginning as well, and I think I really do need to touch on it again. But what's really surprised me, and I suppose it shouldn't have surprised me, because I get so many people saying the same, Moreland, you really should try Fenix lights. You should get one of these. Yeah. When I look at bags, I know the companies that have bag nerds working for them. I think what I've found with Fenix is there's a lot of flashlight nerds working for Fenix, and I mean that in the absolute respect. That's probably the highest compliment that I can certainly give. But the attention to detail, the craftsmanship and the quality that you certainly get with these lights is definitely next level. You certainly do pay a little bit more for that. I don't think the prices for these are completely exuberant and, you know, out of the touch of the average person. But in some respects, you know, you do pay, you do get what you pay for. I always get that the wrong way around, but yeah, hopefully that makes sense. Anyway, check the links below. This was provided to me free of charge, by the way, you know, full disclosure. Certainly one of the conversations that I always have is that I will give my honest opinion. If I didn't like this light, I would probably, I'd tell you that. Certainly, you know, if there's areas that as I've mentioned, things that I would change. So yeah, but yeah, links in the description below. There'll be some of my social media links in the description below. If you want to look at, find me on Instagram, I tend to be on there a little bit more than I am anywhere else. You can see other lights, other things that I have in the pipeline. But as always, stay safe, stay Morelander, and stay EDC. Fits in the bucket really well. Boom, 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 a rock on, do, 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 do. T-Rex stuck in my head. And stay EDC. I think I did that then. I did it. Yeah. One take, Randy. Should stop doing American accent. It sounds awful. On me, the accent doesn't. Shoot! Hi, I've got a itchy forehead. But if you check there, you'll be able to see the other piece of content that I made. Really liked that. I'm waffling now. For fuck's sake. Just stop being a dick.